What's up, crazy cats? Welcome back to another episode of Hey, Have You Seen That Film? Today we're going to be talking about 1940's The Seahawk, starring Errol Flynn. Now, I'm just going to say, if you haven't seen this film, it is a great film. If you don't know who Errol Flynn is, this is the perfect film to introduce you to Errol Flynn. But it's not his most infamous film. Errol Flynn, you've probably know him or seen him if you've seen 1938's The Adventures of Robin Hood. It's one of the most popular and still talked about versions of Robin Hood, and Errol Flynn plays Robin Hood in that. It was a really big role for him, especially at the time. But that's not what we're talking about today, so we're not going to dwell on Robin Hood. Today we're going to talk about The Seahawk, which is the very first film I ever saw Errol Flynn in, and is what introduced me to him, and is one of the reasons I love Errol Flynn. Now, I saw The Seahawk, when I was about 11 or 12, somewhere around there. Where I grew up, they would show, during the summer, they would show free movies in the park every Friday night or something like that. And for a while, there was a theme that happened during the summer. One summer it was musicals, and one summer it was pirates. And this was one of the movies that they saw. And I went with a buddy of mine and his dad, and we went and saw this, and I was mesmerized. Just a quick synopsis of the film. Well, I don't want to give major spoilers in case you decide to go out to see it because you haven't. Basically, Errol Flynn's character, Captain Thorpe, is a Queen's buccaneer. Not a bucketeer, a buccaneer. He's a pirate for the Queen, a pirate for England. And at the time the film is set, Spain and England are on the verge of war, but haven't quite gotten there yet. They're trying to keep the peace, at least the Queen is, but the two, it's only a matter of time before war breaks out. And Captain Thorpe convinces the Queen to allow him to go to Spain and steal this gold, so that way they can build up their own armada, their own fleet of ships, in order to prepare for the attack from Spain that they're assuming is bound to happen. There are people under the Queen's realm who are actually working for Spain and trying to get this war to happen. And obviously them being in England helps Spain to keep them alert to what's going on. And so they find out about Thorpe's plan to go over and steal this gold. And when Thorpe and his crew are over there, he captures them. He gets captured, and some of his crew do, and they get stuck on a Spanish ship, which at the time the Spanish, their prisoners, were the ones who were rowing the boat underneath. If you've seen older ships, some of them had at the bottom floors where all the oars would come out, and that is where their prisoners were. They were down there, and there was someone who would drum, and they would keep the pace. So if we needed to get somewhere sooner, they would pound faster and keep the men working and rowing. Anyways, that's what happens to Thorpe and the remainder of his crew. They get stuck on this Spanish ship, and they must escape to get back to the Queen in order to reveal some plans that they have discovered since being on board one of these Spanish vessels. The film is exciting. That is one way to put it. I love the concept of the film. I think it's cool. The Queen has her own pirates who are called the Seahawks, which I think is a cool name. And they essentially they keep watch over the English Channel and make sure that no one comes in that shouldn't be there. One of the things that really makes the movie, and I've said this a lot about other movies of talking about the music, the score, but this is hands down the intro is just, it gets you ready for an adventure. It's just, it's exciting, it's loud, and it's very much, it just screams adventure when you hear the theme for the Seahawk. That's how I can best put it. It was composed by Eric Wolfgang, who I think he was back in the day, he was a phenomenal composer when he was alive. He composed a lot. The Seahawk, besides the music, one place that it really thrives on for me is Errol Flynn. He has such a great on-screen presence that, you know, he's infamous for his swashbuckler films, and this one does deliver on the swashbuckler aspect. There's a great sword fight at the end, but I think that Errol Flynn I think he was a great actor, and I think he was good at, you know, portraying the hero who is smart and on his feet. He's quick to think in his responses. He's not quick to action, but I don't know, there's something about the characters that Errol Flynn would play that, I don't know, he's, especially Captain Thorpe, he's a very much I would say a good role model in a way. He's respectful, but he is not afraid to speak back, unless it's to the Queen. So, yeah, the Seahawks, for the time it was made, was a pretty spectacular film. Well, I'll take that back. I love old movies. I adore old movies. I think they're great. I love the originality of them. I love, I think a lot of my favorite actors and actresses actually are older. You know, John Wayne's my favorite actor, but Errol Flynn, James Stewart, Doris Day, Marilyn Monroe, Natalie Wood. I love these older actors, and I think they had a whole different, I don't know, I just love how original the stories they were put into were. So, it's in black and white, so if that's something that you don't like, I've met people who don't like black and white films. I don't mind them one bit, and it's again because I love watching old movies. So if you don't like black and white, you know, I would say no to this. No, I would say yes, still give it a try. It's an exciting film. It's one that I've shown my wife. It was actually, I think, the first Errol Flynn film my wife saw. She might have seen The Adventures of Robin Hood before, but I remember after watching it the very first time, I shortly afterwards went to our public library and found it because I was so excited to show my siblings this movie. That's how much I loved it. So at a young age, it even impacted me. So I would recommend the Seahawks to anyone who is an Errol Flynn fan, enjoys adventure and pirates and swashbuckling. This is right up your alley. There's a lot of there's sword fights, there's espionage, and there's things going on behind people's backs without them knowing. It's a great movie. Some fun facts about it. So this, if you know Errol Flynn, then you know Olivia de Havilland. I'm probably saying her name wrong. I'm so sorry. But they were one of those famous screen couples back in the day. They made a lot of movies together. And this film was actually intended to have her star in it as well, but she didn't, and they got somebody else. And I can't think of the actress's name. Bear with me one moment. They got Brenda Marshall, which I thought she was great for the movie, and I enjoyed seeing Errol Flynn with somebody else for just a change. I love his chemistry with I want to make sure I'm saying her name right. Yeah, Olivia de Havilland. I love his chemistry with her, but it was interesting to see someone else for a change. And then they wanted the villain part to be played by Basil Rathbone, who he's famous for playing Sherlock Holmes, but he also was more often not a bad guy in the movies, and he was a bad guy in Captain Blood, which was Errol Flynn's. It was Errol Flynn's role that made him famous. He was the bad guy in The Adventures of Robin Hood, which was he was played Sir Guy Gisborne. So in both of those movies, he fought Errol Flynn. In both of them, he was killed. And so they wanted him as well to play the bad guy in the Seahawk, and he was kind of like, no, I'm tired of being the bad guy again, opposite of Flynn. I don't know if you didn't like him or not, but what? So go ahead, check this film out for yourself. It's my personal Errol Flynn favorite. And I would love to hear what maybe your favorite Errol Flynn film is down below. Or, again, I'd love to hear your own personal opinions of the film. So go ahead and watch it. Let me know. I appreciate your views. I appreciate those who have subscribed, and ask you to continue to keep on watching and even recommend films that you would love to hear what I have to say about it. So, or films that you feel have been lost and forgotten. Anyways, take care, and I hope you enjoy your week, whatever you do with it. See ya.